There's usually a law enforcement retention fund, law enforcement recruitment fund.
Mhm.
Those are gonna be those funds, so it'll be its own separate line item.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
It's on page 10.
On page 10, as I was told, Ms. McCracken said, I think.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Naya.
Trina, under 39,900, capital, other capital improvement fund, under your blue line, I don't see that item that's on the back page, under funds summary. So it's about midway on the second page. Am I missing something?
Yes, so we're missing,
Like $1.2 million?
yeah. It didn't print properly. Let me see if it's in the book. Go to page 3.
Okay.
Do you see it in the middle? What line item are you actually looking at? Infrastructure, equipment, other costs?
No, I do not see it.
It should be in between municipal streets and general obligation bond debit
Right,
sources.
that's where I found it, or was looking, but I still don't see it. Unless you put it under infrastructure.
It's under infrastructure.
It is
Mhm.
that amount?
Mhm.
Because it's a little shy.
How much did you guys want to request?
Thought we said $1.2 million.
I think it was $1 million, right?
Yeah.
It was $1 million that you requested at the beginning. I can change that if you want.
Let me look at it again. Yeah, see, on the back page, you have $1,233,000.
Commissioner, that includes the equipment and other operating costs?
Yes,
But for that, just that line item for infrastructure, if you want $1 million to put on just that line, I will.
oh, I see what you did. Never mind.
It's like a total.
It does add up. I apologize.
Well, that's why we have the workshops.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Powers.
Another question, I know we may create some positions, those are not in the budget yet, right? They wouldn't be in there unless we create those positions. Okay. And I, correct me if I'm wrong, but I understood that we had probably on the order of about $3 million in discretionary funds above and beyond what we needed for this year.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Chief.
so I just, I found those stipends that Commissioner Powers was talking about. It's on the first page, right below Law Enforcement Protection Fund. So that's the fund we get every year for each commissioned officer. And they increased it to, I believe, $1,500 per officer now. So that's where it comes, the 120, and then we get the law enforcement appropriation which part of the retention fund. I think it's the third year we get this funding. That's why we're at 37.5. And then we also have the retention fund, which is the other fund we applied for and received. So we're going to be in the second year of that fund. So that's the 112,500.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Powers.
So just so I'm clear about that, with it was about 800,000 that we're expecting from congressional, is that right?
And then we have another 800,000 that's going to go just to the fleet fund to renew all of our fleet.
So a total of 1.6.
Yes, sir.
And that will come in this next fiscal year?
I was told October, sir,
Okay.
because it's got to go through the DOJ.
Good job on those. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one question on that 39900 fund. On the back, it's got 1,233,000 in odd number, and on this side, it's 1,237,000. So just wondering what the 4,000 discrepancy there is. What am I not seeing?
Mr. Chair, where do you see that, other number? I see the one on the back, but
And then.
what page is that?
Right here, this is on page 3, Fund 39900, other capital projects. See, it's right there.
Okay, thank you.
And then if you go to page 10, under Department of General Administration, it should match other capital projects.
Oh, there it is. See, I knew there's something I wasn't seeing. Thank you.
Mhm.
You see it?
Yeah, I see that, yeah, good catch.
It's the line I just went over.
I know, good catch. Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Powers?
So Trina, I understand now we'll be getting reports quarterly on how far, a comparison of how far each department has spent into their budget?
Yes,
Is that correct?
Commissioner.
Okay,
The department will as well, so that they can stay within their budget.
so they can put the brakes on if needed or redo their budget line item if something
Yes.
unusual occurs?
They can move funds within their budget if they want to, and I would be happy to do that for them, so they can stay within their budget.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Trina, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Naya?
Trina, what request came back from the State Department on the changes? Were there any?
They are looking at it at the current time. It's with the director at this time right now. It's already went through our auditor, and now it's with the director, so we're just waiting for any questions, comments before we submit the final.
Okay.
Commission, just to let you know, the revenue will go up before the final is submitted, as funds are coming in after the 20th now. So the revenue will go up a bit.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Powers?
And those funds will be coming in after the June 30 fiscal year end, but they will be applicable to the last month or two?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Well, that's good.
God bless you.
You.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Donner?
So if we wanted to add things in that we're gonna be talking about later this evening into the budget, should we talk about that now?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the workshop. This is
All right.
where we can discuss possible changes that we're gonna make to it.
Okay. Well, I know that we want to have some reserve funds for possible renovations for the south building and for the start of phase 3 planning on Venus Park. So, I mean, what are we thinking on that? On those items.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Powers?
Given that we have about a 3 million surplus, we don't want to run right up against it, but I was thinking on that item that on the south building, maybe about $1 million in renovation funds to set aside and earmark in case we are able to work out something with the school district. And on Venus Park, I'm not sure, what were you thinking on that?
I was thinking $250,000 to $500,000.
Mhm.
I think that what that will do is it'll help us get through at least the engineering and planning phase. And then we can seek grant funding and other sources to actually do the build-out.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because we can do that for the renovations too, but at least we'll have the funds earmarked. If we don't use them, it rolls into the next year because we got grant funding, and if we don't, we still secured, so.
Yeah, I
belt
mean,
and
we could add
suspenders.
them to the ICIP on top.
Yeah. Yeah, that's on tonight, so, and that's next on the agenda,
Yeah.
so good timing.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing too, I just thought of that, if we do get more grants, but there's matching, the money's in the fund to do the matching.
That's a good point too. Didn't think about that, but yeah, that's a good point. So I think those are things that we would want to look at building into the budget as well. Obviously, we're not going to make any decisions now, but we at least need to have the discussion of possibly how much we should earmark.
Yeah.
What would that fall under?
General.
Just general?
Mr. Chair, if, Treasurer, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I would guess that that would still go under other capital
Yes,
projects as well.
yes.
So we would look at increasing that from $1,060,000 to 2.25 to 2.5 million. I'm asking. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's to me.
If we were to earmark, let's say, $1 million for renovations and then $500,000 for Venus?
Yeah.
It'd be 2.5 and 60, or 2.5 and change. Which would still leave us with 1.5 in the bank
Mhm.
for creation of positions and other.
On the rainy day fund.
Definitely don't want to go any lower than that.
Yeah, because I guess if we're talking about this, if we're creating 2 new positions, I've done some research on those as well. And that's part of the budget. I can speak on that, correct?
Yeah.
So, community planning and development, according to Glassdoor, the salary ranges throughout the United States and kind of the top end for the state of New Mexico ranges anywhere between 90,000 and 125,000. If we were to do a project slash grant manager, because in some conversations I've had with a couple different people in the industry, a lot of the times a project manager can also manage grants and write grants. That salary range is about 70 to 90,000. You add in the benefits on top of that, we can kind of come up with a pretty decent number on what the salary would be for those 2 positions.
Mr. Chair,
Manager McCracken?
I would like to add to Commissioner Donner, I had a discussion with one of our engineers yesterday, and when I was discussing the possibility of a project manager and grant manager, he had recommended them being the same position as well, and that's what he sees throughout the other municipalities that are about our size.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Powers?
That makes sense, since the project manager has to know where the funding's coming from and make sure that it's kept up and complied with, so be the same position in a way, especially right now at our size. It may grow, later, but to something else.
And to add on to that, once again, keeping in line with our thinking about grants and our matching funds, some of that salary can be applied to the matching funds.
Yeah, a lot of towns actually get their project manager and grant manager positions paid for out of the grants, which most grants allow that.
We would just need to identify those specific grants, so we would have to at least earmark into the budget the salary,
Yeah.
and then any grants that we were able to find would supersede that, but they would just be added into the budget as well, I would assume, at some point.
Yes.
And then we'd get those reimbursed, the salaries.
Yeah, a lot of the time it's reimbursed. So I just think when we go into the meeting, just to remember those things that we need to add in, so that when we pass a budget, we have those added in and earmarked.
And I like excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Powers?
And I like the idea of putting it in the budget, but not counting on it and applying for grants. And then if we don't get the grants, we're still good to go, and all the planning we've done and momentum, we can go forward anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, to add in those 2 positions, just roughly doing the math in my head with benefits, you're looking at probably around $300,000, roughly, that would need to be added in.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Naya?
Commissioner Donner.
Yes, sir.
For the CDRC, you came up with what?
For the community development, it was 90 to 125,000. With benefits, you're ranging anywhere between 120 and about 160,000.
And where did you get those figures?
Glassdoor. Glassdoor takes salaries that have been made public. Usually people will share their salaries, and they get a median number based off those. Most of the community planning and development positions are public record anyways. Like, those things are fairly easy to find.
And you did a combined for them doing two jobs, grants and,
For the grant and project manager, you're at between 70 and 90 before benefits.
there you go.
Yeah,
Now I'm in line.
yeah, 70 to 90
Okay.
before benefits on the grant slash
Just wanted to make
project.
sure that you were talking about the
Yeah.
two positions on one. Okay.
Yes, yeah, that's
Now
with
you're
both,
right. Okay.
because a grant manager is typically between 50 and 65,000. Project manager is about the same, you combine them both. There are positions that are grant project managers, and they average out to about 70 to 90K, with, minus the benefits.
Okay, we're in line, thanks. Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Naya,
I have no more questions.
thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I
Commissioner Donovan?
don't have any questions either. I'm pretty comfortable with the budget and how we've talked about it.
Commissioner Powers?
I'm good.
Mr. Chair, I'm comfortable. Do we need to make a motion to?
No, this is
Okay.
No, this is
just a
this is just a
workshop.
workshop, we're not making any decisions. This is where we can go ahead and just openly hash out questions, additions, subtractions.
details.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for putting this together.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Trent.
Yes, definitely. Of course, I'm seeing cross-eyed now, but that's,
Mr. Chair, I think Trina's probably seeing cross-eyed as well. I know her and I have sat down multiple times, and she's done her due diligence to make sure to sit with every department as well. So what is reflected are the items that every department has found that they need. I don't think anyone went too crazy. We've gone through those with our other workshops, but she took the time to educate every single one of them on how to request the budget and understand it.
good job. And I know as we continue to, they continue to grow and our revenues start to change. We haven't even seen the effect yet of Clayton Homes.
No, they just started selling.
Yeah.
Do you know if they, Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Naya,
do you know if they've sold anything yet?
I believe, when I was over there visiting, I think they have a couple that are in contract. They have, so.
Three.
Mr. Chair,
Is it three?
we have 3 being held up in the air over here.
Yeah, and I
Oh.
saw a young family. Yeah, and I saw a young family walking in to look at one yesterday as I was driving by.
Brian, have you received any requests for, permits?
No, the 3 units that were sold, I don't believe are being located in Duncan.
Okay.
All right, unless anybody else has any questions, we can talk about the ICIP.
Can we have a poll?
Chief?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to thank Miss Trina and her team for helping us out. I mean, it's like night and day, and it's been a breath of fresh air to have her and her team here, so I just wanted to thank her publicly.
I
Mr. Chair.
appreciate,
I'd like to thank her too, because without her, I don't know what I would be doing right now.
Yeah, I appreciate all the work that's been going in there, getting caught up and everything, plus getting this budget ready. Yes. And everything else that goes on there on a regular day-to-day basis. It's been teamwork. And that's what it's all about. Nobody here's an island.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner-
Stephen's
Manager-
gonna-
Manager Kraken.
I'm always a commissioner. No, I don't ever want to be an elected official, but, no offense, guys. Stephen's gonna pull up the ICIP here in a minute. I know we briefly discussed this in our workshop last week. Was there anything that you guys can remember we wanted to change or add? I know I talked to 2 commissioners about possibly putting on some improvements for Venus Park and then for community center, correct?
No, it was the money for the south building
South building.
and the
Into it.
phase 3 of Venus Park.
That's what I thought.
Church,
And church. Yep.
I can't see it.
And trying to figure out why Nugent has
I
$0
can print them out.
allocated to it.
What?
And why Nugent has $0 allocated towards it.
Well, yeah, that was the other one. Remember that?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I just need to put them in there. I think Nugent and East Venus will be done probably this fall if we chip seal it ourselves.
Okay.
And Church Street will be going soon. I know I have 2 commissioners I talked to that we have Tappan coming out to discuss that. We just have to sign a waiver for an ordinance.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Powers.
Manager McCracken, so if whichever roads we end up chip sealing, if they are on the ICIP, before the next legislative session, we'll be well out of the paving season, so we can take those off?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
That's just something, oh, Mr. Chair, sorry. That's just something to keep in mind, that as some of these projects start to fall off, we can always take them off at a later time. This is something I can go through and update throughout the year. They just publish it once a year. And just for clarification, they is DFA. Are we at the eye doctor? I can print some out real fast. What did I do with it?
So, Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Naya.
Mr. Manager, are we gonna adjust the line to where they should be on the right line items as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Mr. Chair,
Manager McCracken.
which order do you want them in, and I can change it?
Well, I'd like to see church up on top.
We'll need to vote that right in the
Yeah.
regular session.
But we can still talk about it now.
Sure.
And I believe we also talked a little bit about Route 66 sewer line extension to help out with infrastructure for
Businesses and being more attractive to
right,
people
correct.
moving in.
And then once those streets start having, start working with utilities, then we can get the water companies, the electric companies, the communication companies all working together to get their stuff into the same ditches to get, to lower the cost for one. But infrastructure is one thing that we really need to work on.
Mr. Chair,
Manager McCracken.
so would you want, I mean, I guess with the discussion, do we want to leave the Route 66 sewer line expansion as number 2, or is that more of a priority that we want as 1? I know that a lot of the roads have grants and other funding sources.
I think I'd put the sewer 1,
Sewer 1.
because it works with wastewater, but wastewater, we have some. We can move that down just a little bit and then move up Church, and Venus, I believe, was the other one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioners.
for moving Venus?
Yeah, we want, Horton or Venus up on top? Nugent? Nugent's we're doing ourselves, so that
Yeah.
one.
Mr. Chair,
Manager McCracken?
I would suggest moving Horton, because I know that project is a huge project with engineering and having to completely rebuild that road. East Venus, that's something I'm gonna talk to the engineers about in a meeting with the road crew, because we may just be able to chip seal East Venus, but that's up to how, if we want to asphalt or chip seal, but we have grant funding for that already.
So Commissioner, if I understand you right, you want to basically swap wastewater treatment Route 66, drop them down, move Church up to
two.
number 1, or move Church to number 2?
Church number 2, Route
Okay.
66.
So it'd be Route 60.
Wastewater lines,
Route 66, Church, wastewater plant. I got that right?
correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Powers?
I just want to mention that some of these items, like Route 66, that's been on here since 2017. The council voted to do the Route 66 expansion in 2017. So those are pre-COVID, pre-inflationary spike
The
numbers.
numbers need to be adjusted.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that number's doubled at this point.
Yeah, at least 50%
I
higher.
would
That's
say, I
what
would say triple, to be honest.
most of the numbers I've been seeing in the construction industry are anywhere from 35 to 50%, and some specialty items can go double. But it's better to ask for more if we can.
Well, I guess and the easy way to do it would be to look when when that dollar value was established, and then add in the inflation rate from that time to now, use that as a multiplier, and add 5%.
Or
Well-
the manager could also go to the on-call engineer and just get a quick synopsis update. I guess she's out of the room, but would you fill her in, chief, when she gets back? But I think, you could do that with an on-call engineer pretty quick. For tonight, we could, do the swag and then confirm it, if the manager can confirm it with our on-call engineers.
617 is that number right?
What was that?
617?
It's low.
Oh, for the wastewater, Route 66?
And that's for that line along the south side of 66 from basically Edgewood 7 up to, it's just past where Juneau is, up in that region. So it's a short piece of pipe,
Yeah.
but it's still expensive, sewer, large diameter sewer, gravity sewer. And that would open up all of that land on the south side for commercial. That was the original intent of the council when they voted it, and it got pushed back. So I think it's something we ought to really look at, because if we're expecting more services for people and that's what they want, that's where we'll get it most likely. Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, and would
Commissioner Donner.
would we want to add in the Phase 3 for Venus Park and the south building renovations as well?
Say that again?
The Phase 3 for Venus Park
Okay.
and the south building
Oh, the
renovations.
south, okay.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Donner?
I just have a question, if either town manager or Phil or Commissioner Anaya or Commissioner Powers would know. Steeplechase, is there like a whole lot of engineering that needs to go into steeplechase?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner McCracken?
I just had a meeting with DEC Engineering over it. There is they've been working on it. They've assessed where all the culverts and everything need to go. I know I'm planning on having a meeting with them next week with Josh, and I know I asked to the commissioners to attend, but that is something that came up. I believe the engineering is done, and it's pretty much trying to decide how we want to move forward.
I mean, would that be something that, one of the roads we would chip seal, or is that an asphalt project?
Mr. Chair, I'm pulling up the notes now.
I'm just curious, if we can chip seal it on our own, that eliminates another one off the list that we can tick off.
Mr. Chair. So our funds were utilized for the design, so at this point in juncture, it will require asphalt, but it does say that we could do chip sealing resurfacing if we want. The recommendation is asphalt, but it seems as though that's the recommendation, but we could chip seal. We just need to do the install of the culverts, set up the structure, do signage, preparation, all that, and then we can chip seal.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Powers?
Manager McCracken, I remember hearing that Dennis Engineering thought that we had tried to get about 4 roads done, but of course, some are more involved engineering-wise than others, and that they thought that the 2 roads that would be ready, because we've got a short window, once the
Right.
grants are signed in July, to do 2 miles of road before the weather window closes in early October. So did they tell you which ones they thought would be ready for chip seal, I mean, the engineering part of it being done?
Mr. Chair, so according to them, we're available to start chip sealing if we'd like East Venus, and that's 1.5 miles. West Venus is being asphalt, and that one can be taken care of. That's separate. That's being bidded out. And then Nugent Road was the other one that Dennis Engineering felt we could be prepared to start during the chip sealing window.
Mr. Chair.
That's 1 mile.
Commissioner Powers?
So do you remember why Steeplechase was not one of the ones they said would be ready? There's more engineering involved, or what was the holdup?
Mr. Chair, so with this one, we could probably chip seal this one. We just need to meet with EPCOR, EMW Gas, and any other utility companies that are out there. The utilities in that area were done kind of catawonky, I guess you could say. I know that is a complaint that Josh had, and Manager Hill, we met with some people from Palomino who had also discussed this. It's really hard to know where these lines are, and unfortunately, utility companies are doing their best guess. So that's something that we wanted to meet all together to go over that road prior to doing it.
And they'll enlighten us about all this at the meeting next week.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
All right.
just one caution on that. So the water lines over there are extremely substandard. So if we're going to do hard surface on that road, we probably need to coordinate with EPCOR. And, I mean, I'd hate to, that's a real concern in that area because there's not adequate fire flow. And that canyon could be really problematic. So I think we need to kind of really think about that one. It needs to be done, but it needs to be done in coordinate. The water is there, the tanks are there, the storage is there, but the pipes are really inadequate and substandard, so.
So you're saying let EPCOR go in there and
If we could
upgrade?
coordinate with EPCOR to upgrade some of the pipes, I think that would, I mean, it seems to make sense to be able to do that at the same time, so.
Yep.
And,
Well,
Mr.
that's
Chair,
up to me. Commissioner Anaya?
and we need all the utility companies to correspond with the road department on all of these projects for upgrades in areas that we do either paving or chip sealing.
Mr. Chair,
Manager McCracken, God.
Manager, So I do know with Nugent, it's not gonna hold up any project, but one thing that Tappan has requested is to work with the pipelines. To, anytime they do work on Nugent, they do an 811 call, and the pipelines do have to be on site anytime the road crew is working on that road. But that is something when we go to chip seal, they wanna discuss with them as well. And I'm gonna send out the meeting minutes from my meeting on the 24th, so you all can review them.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Powers?
Manager McCracken, did they also give you, I guess we'll learn about this more this coming week in the meeting, but they also talk about a timeline? I know Church Street's involved, I know Horton's very involved in terms of the kind of engineering and time they're gonna have to put in it. Did they give you any idea when the engineering might be done on those?
Mr. Chair, the one thing that Dennis Engineering needed after some further review and working with Horrocks, they need to come to have, when we have our on-site meeting over the other roads with Church Street there, we actually need to sign a waiver due to a water ordinance. For some of the properties, they're gonna do their best to direct that flow where they can, but they do need a waiver prior to finishing up some items.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Donner?
Manager McCracken, when is the ICP due?
Mr. Chair, it's due July 12th. Oh, wait, yeah, July 12th. So we do have time as we have meetings and discuss and go along. I just wanted to make sure that we had as much advanced time to discuss these items as possible, to give ourselves a little window. I know that we'll have another meeting to finish deciding these, but this way we can discuss anything else we need to, or anything else comes up that we need to add.
I would recommend having another workshop
Workshop.
for this.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Powers?
I'd agree with that too, because by then we'll have more of this information from the engineers and kind of know
Absolutely.
what we're doing.
Yeah, because if we are able to chip seal steeplechase as well, then that we can add in some newer stuff as well. And change up the priorities.
That sounds good to me.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Naya?
I'm good with the ICIP for now.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Donner?
I don't have anything left either at the moment.
Mr. Chair, neither do I until we get some more information.
Okay. Commissioner Powers, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, we just need to get the rest of the information and some of these figures updated. And make it more feasible, so. That brings us to the end.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Naya?
I move that we adjourn the work session and take a break for 10 and come back at 6 for regular session.
Second.
All right, it's been motion and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote. We are adjourned.
No,
All right, welcome, everybody. Today is June 25th, 2024, and this is a regularly scheduled commission meeting. Appreciate everybody for showing up today. And will the town manager please take the roll call?
Commissioner Anaya,
Present.
Commissioner Donner,
Here.
Commissioner Milligan,
Here.
Commissioner Powers,
Here.
and Commissioner Brennan.
Here. All right, if everybody please stand for the invocation and the pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to you praising you and thanking you for another day, Lord. Lord, we just ask that you be with our friends and neighbors as they're dealing with the damage from last week, Lord. Lord, help them and us to help them in the best way possible, Lord. Lord, just guide our words, our thoughts, and our actions as we do what's best in your eyes and for the town, Lord. Lord, we just praise you and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and is the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
All right, next is our agenda approval. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Donner?
I would like to move item L up as the first agenda item. That would be discussion and action on best practices for commission manager government.
So you want to move item, all right, so that's 8L, there it is on the other
8L
page.
to 8A and just move everything down from there.
Okay.
I'll second.
Yeah, I'll motion that.
Are there any other changes? All right, so it's been motioned to approve with moving L to the first position. And it has been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, unanimous vote for the agenda approval. All right, public comments on agenda items. Do want to remind the public, and it's posted on the door, it's posted on the wall out there, per parliamentary procedures, also known as Robert's Rule of Order, all public comments will be directed to the chair and must be germane to the agenda topics. No personal attacks towards any individual, commissioner, or constituent. And the first on the list is Mr. Sullivan.
Good evening. I do have some handouts. It's a copy of what I'm going to say as well as a copy of an intro that I sent in. It appears the commission is having troubles dealing with IPA request again. Staff can give you a quick summary of requirements: 3 days to acknowledge receipt, 15 days to make documents available, and a modest extension if burdensome.
Point of order,
Or you
Mr.
can
Chair.
claim you just don't
Commissioner
have this
Powers.
stuff.
This is not on the agenda.
Well,
Yeah,
actually
that's
it
what I
is,
was
or it
looking
should
for.
be, because you had IPRAs on the agenda last
Mr.
meeting,
Chair.
and that's in the agenda tonight for
Point of
approval of
order.
the minutes.
Hey, so they are, the gentleman is correct that this is not an agenda item for this week.
What
We
about
don't
the
backdate.
adoption of the meeting?
So, sir,
What about
sir,
the adoption
as
of
we're
minutes?
following our rules, it has to be on the agenda today. If you can go ahead and show me where it is on today's agenda, then you can continue.
It's the minutes from the previous meeting, which, by the way, are not in the packet again. I think we had this conversation once before.
So, yet, sir, once again, it's not on the agenda.
The minutes are on the agenda. Don't you understand that?
We're not talking about old business. We're talking about today's agenda. Do you have anything new to talk about?
I don't know how you can hand me something at the door that says that on the agenda.
Sir,
is
we're not
approval of
going to have
minutes.
an argument here. Whether you do have something or you don't. Thank you.
You know, I think there was some other items from the
Sir?
agenda that I did sign up for. I was just curious about the minutes. Don't you have me on another item as well up there, please?
Doesn't it?
That is all you have, sir.
No, I turned something into Ms. McCracken, I think.
You've already used up your time arguing with us. So you may have a seat, sir.
You haven't even let me start to address you before you cut me off.
Mr. Sullivan. Thank you.
All right, next on the list is Teresa Benton.
And just so you don't shoot me down, I'm going to start with item L, which is best practices. And I want to talk about fixing IPRAs. Part of those can be done
Excuse me,
easily
Mr.
by
Chair, point of
having the
order.
minutes
Chief?
as well as
She's got to
financials.
state her name and address.
Yes.
Oh, my name, Teresa Benton. I live across from Jerry Powers.
Sir, ma'am,
Sir,
that
Ma'am?
is not an address.
okay. So 16 Blanco Drive. And making this into best practices would be very simple. Do the minutes within the 10 days required by the Open Meetings Act. Get financials done monthly in a system that is easy to read for the people. The people want roads and water and maintenance and paving. You can't do that with no budget, no audits. Also, the best practices are to cut our losses with the lawsuits. Now that we know the truth about the placement of the sewer line with Bassett, cut your losses. Get a second opinion. For God's sake, quit throwing the money away. Same thing with MESD. At Calvary Church, people just wanted the building saved. Somehow that morphed into a land grab for Edgewood. And school districts do not do land swaps. Santa Fe County recently refused to let Edgewood take over the equestrian center because of the disorganization that's here. The women's health
Mr. Chair,
ordinance.
Point
Fine.
of order.
Am I done
What is
with
your-
time?
What is your point of order?
We're not talking about the equestrian.
No, it's part of the best practices.
It's
And you
not.
wanted that as
You're-
a best
You're getting very,
practice.
very loose with that.
Well, it's a best practice, just letting you know. Let's finish the practice with the women's health issue. 3 oath breakers sitting up there.
Next on this list is Mr. Ralph Hill.
Well, in future events, you do have the 25th celebration, and this is the last commission meeting before the event. The reason I've run across quite a bit of concerns with our mounted shooting exhibition on the 5th of July, and Commissioner Brennan called me about the ammunition we use, and I just want to.
Yeah, it's, Mr. Hill, is that an agenda item? I'm trying to figure out where you're,
Oh, it was under the 25th celebration. Anyway,
It's under future
oh,
events.
yeah, there it is. Thank you.
I just wanted to relieve you that this ammunition is certified. I've got samples of it, and we shoot all over the state. And since 1990, when SAS came up with this new sport, we have never had anybody shot with a horse. I mean, shot with a gun. They've been injured by the horses. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know that all our ammunition is certified. We cannot bring our own ammunition to the events. And I look forward to seeing you all out there. We're going to have a local drill team come in and do a patriotic introduction to our sport, to the event. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Linda Hawley.
Linda Hawley, 26 Vista Cerritos. I am outraged that this commission decided to hold a special commission meeting in Farmington last week.
Ma'am, which item are you referring to on the agenda?
I couldn't get to the meeting last week to make a comment, and it wasn't available virtually. So this is the first opportunity I've had since you met on the 19th.
Well, it's not on the agenda, so this will have to wait till the public comments at the end of the meeting.
Oh, okay, then nobody can hear it. Thank you.
Can't address from that.
Sir, no addressing from the chairs?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Anaya?
point of order, if Mr. Sullivan speaks out again from the audience, can I ask that he be removed?
The gentleman in the audience will be reminded to please adhere to the decorum.
No worries, I'll just send him to send.
All right, is there anybody else in the audience that would like to make public comment? Okay, is there anybody online? All right. Yes.
Michelle Jones, 923 Salt Mission Trail in McIntosh, New Mexico. I had put my name, but I scratched it out. But I just would like to make a comment on the agenda. Item number 8D, the approval of the final budget. I think that you guys are trying to do a good job getting the personnel that you need. I think that some of the issues on the agenda will be addressed when you're fully staffed, and that will feel more transparent to the public. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, if there's nothing else, we will continue on to the consent agenda. All right, is there any questions for the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Powers?
Manager McCracken, we've got 3 different sets of minutes on there, and those have been, you've reviewed those and you're satisfied with them.
Mr. Chair, I would pull them forward. They just need a little bit more work. I tried to get them in here as quickly as possible. I do have drafts ready for anyone who wants them.
And which ones would you like to pull?
I'd like to pull all 3 just to double check.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so, did you want to make a motion on that?
You can remove them without making the motion, but I'm glad to move, I'll move that we pull those minutes for more work and bring them back at the next meeting, next regular meeting.
I'll second that.
All right, so, the motion is to approve the agenda with moving the item A for more work and approving everything else. Any other questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, it's a unanimous vote. All right, matters from the commissioners. Okay, I'm up first. Wednesday, we did have a bad storm come through the town. Some people took damage, some people didn't. There's no rhyme or reason why one house was hit and the one right next to it, nothing. A lot of people went through a lot with this and still trying to pick up the pieces. You know, my heart goes out to those people. They took damage. My house also took damage. Some of my property was damaged. So I want everybody to remember to help each other. And I did notice that after the storm, my wife was telling me that a lot of people were out going about helping their neighbors, and that's what Edgewood is all about, is getting out, helping your neighbors. The other thing I want to mention is on the 2nd of July, I have been invited to go to, actually, at first it was going to be at the governor's mansion, and then they had a lot of people respond, and it got moved to Albuquerque because the governor's mansion was not big enough. And it's going to be a roundtable for public safety and homelessness. So I will be in attendance to that. Chief of the police is going to be in attendance with me, and so will Manager McCracken. So hopefully we could come back with some really good information after this is done. And Sterling Donner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our community was hit, but there were communities across the state that are also have been hit by natural disasters. Ruidoso is in complete and utter shambles. You know, so our prayers go out to them. I know that we have some stuff set up that if there's need, if the community wants to support one of our fellow communities, they are able to bring stuff to Town Hall, I believe, if I saw those donations out there. The retreat was much needed. We were able to hash out a lot of things, come to some understandings, and meet with the town of Aztec, which has been a commission manager form of government since its inception, however long ago. It's been over half a century. So it was good to see some and learn some eye-opening things that we had just overlooked. So I yield the floor.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Powers.
I'll ditto that on the retreat. There was team building exercises, communication exercises that I thought were pretty amazing, and the epiphanies that came out of that about commission manager and how to run it. You know, we've been struggling with that. It was a really great thing to not have to reinvent the wheel. Go see how somebody who's been doing it for 40 years does it, and they've come up as across some of the same issues we have, and have figured out how to do it. They were very welcoming. They were very generous with their time and information. They've offered to continue to have a dialogue with us if we need help with how we manage our commission manager government. But I thought it was outstanding, and everybody was working together through these exercises. I think it was really more than I had hoped for. So I'm very happy about that. One of the things that came out of it, of course, is that we were not operating in the parliamentary procedure exactly right. And the whole idea of parliamentary procedure is to keep the discourse moving in a meaningful way that is respectful of others and exhibits decorum, so that the dialogue can be meaningful, not just kind of a venomous dialogue. So I thought that was outstanding. So I appreciate everybody's participation in that. I'm sorry, Commissioner Milligan, that you couldn't be there, but I understood the emergency that was going on in Ruidoso, and I hope that that's all been resolved.
You done?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Milligan.
1 second, really what everybody else has said. My thoughts and prayers go out to everybody that was affected by the natural disasters that take place. I had a personal family that was affected by the fires down there that ran into some pretty big issues. Hopefully they can rebuild and everything can come back, but as a community, just New Mexicans as we are, we always band together and do the best for our communities. So sorry I couldn't be there, but looking forward to learning more what everybody learned. Got little bits here and there, but heard it was excellent visiting with Aztec, so a big thank you goes out to Aztec on teaching us how to do things better and come together as a better commission. And that is it, sir.
Okay. And Commissioner Naya.
Commissioner Brennan, thank you, sir. I pretty much ditto everything that you all said about all of it. One of the things that I noticed in Aztec is that in 1969, that's when they started building their offices. In 1969, they used contractors that built school buildings. And out of the school buildings, they built it out of CMUs, identical to what we have next door. And their offices looked like they were just built. They were nice, strong, and very quiet inside, insulated very well. So that goes to show that a building of such can be renovated to be utilized for many, many, many more years down the road. And I will come up with some, hopefully a video that shows what their buildings look like and what ours could look like in the future. Thank you.
Okay. And it takes us to matters from the chief.
Can you hear me? So I just want to reiterate, that the retreat to me was a huge success. I want to thank you all for allowing me to attend. Also, one of our officers, actually a few of our officers, did an excellent job last week while we were at the retreat. I know I filled some of you in, of actually sacrificing himself to take care of a vehicle that was traveling in the wrong lane on I-40 and was able to apprehend the subject without any injuries to himself or any of the public. So just want to kind of let the public know that we're actually out here taking enforcement action and being proactive, so that way we have a safer community. I will be bringing those officers in front of you all at a later time, but just want to let the public know that. So
Thank you, Chief.
thank you.
Is there any questions for the chief? No, sir. All right, once again, Chief, thank you for you, and thank you for your team helping keep Edgewood a safe community.
Thank you, sir.
That's why a lot of people want to move out here.
Thank you, sir.
All right, matters from the town manager.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, appointed officials, and public, I do have quite a bit. I will start with the damage to the town. I send my condolences to everyone. I am also a victim of the storm that came through. I lost a hay barn, my horse shelter, and a few windows. But with that update, we did have a call from Melanie Stansberry, who wanted us to get a list so that she could help assess some of the damage and work with us. 93 citizens called in with various forms of damage. And let's see, just from code enforcement and planning and zoning driving around, their guess is about 35 to 40 homes with window damage, 25 to 30 fence damage, 20 to 25 siding, 10 to 12 structures such as carports or sheds, 10 to 20 garage doors, and the roof damage we are unknown because it's inspected by licensed contractors. So there are quite a few people who are impacted, and we hope that we can work with Melanie Stansberry and get those taken care of. But I also want to send my condolences out to Rio Doso. I know that the city there will be spending quite a bit of time trying to rebuild what they had. Torrance County Emergency Management had reached out while we were in Farmington, and I worked with them to be a drop-off site for supplies that they were taking down to Rio Doso. And I don't know if it's still out there, but we are taking any type of supplies that we can send down to help them. We do have 2 zoning matters that are coming in the second meeting in July. I am hiring a contracted employee to address all the IPRAs. There is such a high amount coming in right now that the staff and I are having a difficulty trying to keep up with our other regular duties. So we will have someone who is dedicated to only IPRAs. The 25th anniversary is coming up. We do want everyone to come out. That will begin this Saturday and go until the 6th. There's a lot of activities that have been planned, and the staff has worked extremely hard on this, and the community members who are part of the committee that helped plan this. I am very excited for everything that's happening. I also want to address the retreat. I was a little hesitant going into it of what we were going to come out, and I think we came out better than we expected, and we're able to do a lot of team building. The parliamentary procedure Training was great. I really enjoyed talking to the commissioners and the town manager of Aztec. We all kind of go through the same thing. I know we were able to somewhat discuss, but didn't make any decisions on our org chart, and I think we all realized how understaffed we are. You know, the first day we were there and it was addressed that I'm working the job of 4 people was really hit home because I thought I was just struggling, but we all realized that we do have a lot of needs and we're about at 50% staffing where we should be a lot more. Dumpster day this past weekend, our first one, the dumpsters are full right away. Sunday, they only had a couple of cars. There wasn't a lot of dumpster day people. We are gonna look to see if maybe we can hold another one after all the damage. I do want to thank the maintenance crew. They've spent a lot of time trying to clean Plaza Loop and make sure it's ready for our first event this Saturday, which is a block party that the businesses were putting on, and a lot of local entities, counties, and just other government agencies are coming out with booths. I know that the DWI coordinator down in Torrance County is coming out to have a booth there. And on that note, I had to go to teen court last night, and I would suggest that everyone should go and sit and watch these kids as they do their teen court. It's a very interesting concept, and I heard a few cases that were sent over from the Edgewood Municipal Court. I think it's a great option for these kids who maybe have just made a mistake. They don't need it on the record. They don't need to be anything other than kids. And I really like that all the kids get to be jurors. They all get to be, you go there because you're a defendant, but everyone has to serve on the jury at some point. I think that's a really great way to drive it home that you make a mistake, but there's just a consequence. The roads just got their new water truck. I would advise everyone to go check it out. It is really neat. I don't know what I expected when a water truck was coming, but the vendor had a few things on there that they had added, and it's going to be really great. I know the road crew is excited to put that into the parade on the 4th to show it off, but they're very excited about it. I did see that the New Mexico Municipal League Conference is in Clovis this year. It's August 13th through the 16th. If that's something we want to attend, we can address that. And then I know that we'll talk about it at another time, but Commissioner Donner and Commissioner Anaya and I went to a really great meeting with the open spaces, hoping that we can work with the city of Albuquerque to expand our parks here. And I believe that's all I have, so I stand for questions.
All right, are there any questions for the manager?
Oh, I do have one more thing. Thank you. Sorry. I did give you guys all the ADA compliance report for 2024. We do have, statutorily, we have to have this done. We do have to have a plan in place. The higher priorities are things that we need to address as soon as possible, and we will be doing our best to go through and make sure everything is changed and that we're within ADA compliance. I do want to point out that we are trying to upgrade our website to be ADA compliant, but Facebook and Zoom are both not ADA compliant, so we do need to move to YouTube. I do know overall the ADA coordinator did think we had some pretty good buildings. There's just a few things we need to change. Manager Hill did walk with her and would be able to have a little more insight.
Yeah, I just want to point out, she was extremely pleased. She was somewhat surprised of how compliant we actually are. And if you go, I don't know if you have the report, but if you go to page 4, that's really the meat of it. So her estimate, and she actually goes through the statutory sections within the act, you know, identifying what the deficiency is. But the budget estimate, the total cost is $62,000, and that's over a 3-year period. So that's a very doable plan to come into minimum level of compliance. So if you have any questions on that, I'd be happy to discuss that. But.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Anaya.
Mr. Hill, question about the estimate. You say that's over a period of 3 years?
So, yeah, if you look at her immediate actions, 0 to 6 months, midterm actions, 6 to 12 months, and then 12 to 24 months. So it's actually 2 years, sorry. I misspoke. So some things need to be done fairly quickly. Some things can, you know, they can be phased, so.
Okay, if we do any of this work, do we need to notify MESD?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Anaya, we would need to work with MESD just to let them know that we're doing those upgrades and so forth, since it will be going into the walls.
So,
for like the.
So some of this is in this building, some of it is in the court, some of it is animal control, some of it is PD. So for this building, yeah, that would be the exception, so.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any questions for the manager? Thank you, Manager McCracken. All right, discussion and action items. So L was moved to the beginning. So discussion and action on best practice for commission manager government. Manager McCracken.
Mr. Chair. Oh, sorry, let me pull up my thing. So I just wanted to discuss some of the best practices as it says. I know one thing that we have discussed is the org chart. Community Liaison Burke and I have worked on that so we can better outline and have a better idea of how to break up our departments and to assess where we need more help. I know that there's an item on the agenda tonight for, it's proposed as 3 positions, but we really need 2. And I think, as I've addressed in my matters, we are understaffed, so I think that will address a lot of the issues that the public has. We don't have the capacity to address everything, but if we get to the employment level that we need, we will be able to run more effectively. I know that is something that came up and that we can work through. Another item is with our agendas. I don't know why we have 2 public comments. That is something that we do need to address. It's a little bit cumbersome. And then just how we have our agenda laid out, that was something I noticed that Aztec's is a little bit different than ours, and it may be something to look at to be a little bit more efficient and more in line with other communities as well.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Naya.
Ms. Manager. On the not the org chart, but on the agenda, were you going to place also work sessions at the beginning at 5 o'clock?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Naya, I know this is something else that came up while we were there. Is a great way to discuss a lot of these items prior to a meeting so we can be more effective is the workshops. I'm okay with having a workshop before every meeting, or if we want to do it every other meeting, whatever the commission feels would be best practice is easy enough.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Powers.
I really enjoyed the workshops. I think it's great we don't get to brainstorm when we're on the agenda because there's the pressure of a vote, and it actually creates positionality, and you have to defend a position or advocate for a position. Whereas the workshops, you can just really stream of consciousness brainstorming, which I find really useful. So I'm all in favor of those, however many you want to do.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Donner.
I want to echo that. I think it's a great way that we can find common ground in the workshops, and it takes the pressure off us being in a meeting and, like you said, having to make a decision. I would say we put it on every meeting, and if we don't need one, we all just voice that to Madam Manager. At least that would be what do you guys think?
No, works for me.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Donner.
One of the cool things I had talked at length with one of the commissioners about in Aztec, one of the Aztec commissioners, was how open their commissioners are to the public. And that eliminates a lot of the need for public comment because they are asking that constituents send them everything that they would like to be addressed by Monday at the meeting. And it's either in written comment to the town manager, or they're reaching out to the commissioners directly, asking them these questions and getting the answers that they're seeking. I don't know, I kind of liked that.
Yeah, because one of the things that when we were talking to the Aztec government, what they do in the public comment is they don't do public comment on agenda items. Those are written and sent into the commissioners and the town manager before the meeting, and then that's worked on. Their public comment is general public comment about people says, you know, we have a dog running loose in our neighborhood, what are you gonna do about that? Or we wanna know what's gonna be happening at this festival, those type of comments.
Well, Mr. Chair, it's not just those. They have other concerns as well. But
Right. I'm just,
I get your generalization on it. But yeah, I mean, they still have the forum and the platform where they can voice concerns.
Yes.
It's just not directly on agenda items. Those go to the commission or and the town manager beforehand.
all right, anybody else have anything? This is a discussion and action, so is there any action that needs to be taken today?
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, Madam Manager. It's
I know.
it's been a long week already. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we have Madam Manager implement best practices as we've discussed up here, especially getting us up to ADA compliance.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been motioned and a second. Manager McCracken, can you repeat the motion so everybody can have it clear?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Donner moved to implement, or Commissioner Donner moved to have Madam Manager implement best practices, including ADA compliance.
Right. And
Especially.
that was seconded by Commissioner Powers. Any further discussion on this?
Madam Manager, I would just like any changes that are made be highlighted to the commission and to the public so that the public is aware of those changes. That's my only,
Okay. Anything else?
my last comment.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I do have something else, I'm sorry. I know that Linda Burke and I would like to bring the org chart at some point. I believe I sent it out to everyone. If not, I will double check how we would like to structure the town that we foresee us growing and how we can grow and be the most efficient as possible. I think that is something that needs to be addressed, and we're trying to think future. So even though we have our FTEs and PTEs now, we do want to think as we grow, as we hit certain mile markers, that we continue to grow with our workloads, that we're not just adding to our workload and hoping that everyone can stay above water, but that we're growing with the town.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Powers.
That kind of brings to mind, I mean, one of the things that was a huge epiphany up there is that Aztec has more than double the number of employees that we do for the same size town.
More than triple.
Yeah, more than triple. They do, over the last 40 years, you know, they've kind of learned what they need. And I kept wondering why there was so much work that, and now it's perfectly clear. I mean, I don't know how we missed it before, but the staffing has been woefully inadequate. And you look at the last 6 years before we took office, there was one road that got repaved. It was just laid over, or it was repaved over where there was a paved road. We're paving now 3 miles a year, and that's an 18-fold increase. So you can't, when I was a contractor, I would build a condo complex a year, and if I built 18, I would have had to staff up at least 17 times. So it's becoming real obvious why things are the way they are in town hall, and people are overworked and stressed. And I think that we really need to follow the Aztec model. I think it was a real great move to go up there and model what they're doing. We don't have to double our staff or triple our staff, but I think some of the essential components, the positions were project manager, grant manager, there were several. So I'm really happy that that happened, and I think it was a real eye-opener. And I think the town is going to be a lot better off for having this. And that included assistance for the manager and even deputy clerks to be able to deal with IPRAs, that sort of thing. So I think that good things are coming in with that regard.
Commissioner Knight, you have anything to say?
Pretty much ditto. It's the same. I like the idea of you know, I say this all the time about R&D and R&C. I like R&C a lot because it's research and copy. And I think we did a lot of research this past weekend on the workshop that we were at. So I think we lucked out by